Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the GM Around the League. I'm your guy, Boulanger. And in this video, I'm going to highlight something that's super important that will tell us why the league seemingly suppressed Lamar Jackson's market. Now, this is not conspiracy. I think it's super clear that there was a league-wide cooperated move to marginalize Lamar Jackson's market. But I think in an article that did not intend on highlighting what was going on, I think it did just that. So we took the article, read through it, and looked at 7 projected contracts for players on multiple teams that I think indicate what the NFL owners were afraid of happening if Lamar Jackson was to get a Deshaun Watson type deal. And so we're going to show you guys those projected contracts. Now, let me be clear. These are not my projections. These are projections in an article uh, that was titled Seven Contracts. Excuse, I think it was something like 7 players due for a big contract in 2023, something like that. And it came out, I think, late March, early April. And so these are the kind of articles that I like to take a look at because articles allow us to see a person's thoughtfulness rather than a person's emotionalism in a video. So you can get on a video and get moved by your feelings and your emotions and say anything. But when you're writing, because writing is a system, when you're writing, that has to be done with thought. And so that's why I like to look at articles and look at a person's thoughtfulness. And so before we get started, let me give you guys a few updates. Today is Saturday, April 8th. And so to kind of let you guys know what we have going on here at the GM, number one, we're going to be uh, doing the panel. It'll be a segment that we do. My hope is to do it twice a month, but I know for the month of April, we may not get it done in time. So it may be like a post-draft scenario. But what the panel is going to be is it going to be a collection of 5 of us, myself and 4 others. And we're going to be discussing um, 2 or 3 Baltimore Ravens topics or 2 or 3 NFL topics. There'll be topics, some that I'll choose and some other members of the panel will choose for us to discuss. There will be some time to prepare, for what you're going to bring to the table. But I certainly will be asking you guys for participation. I would love to have, I see your comments and absolutely love what you guys are bringing to the table. And so I'm going to be asking some of you guys to participate in that. You definitely have the right to say no. This is no pressure. Um, we want volunteers, not hostages. A quote from Mike Tomlin. Um, and so I'm super excited about that happening. And some of you guys I'll be shouting out in videos, trying to campaign for you guys to come aboard and be a part of that panel segment. Okay, so that's coming up. So look for that around probably May 1st-ish, somewhere in there, post draft. And then also um, some upcoming videos I have. Um, I got some fire coming out starting Sunday, April 9th. I got some more good stuff coming out on April 10th, whether it be about the Ravens or about the league. And then my goal is to have our first live interaction where we jump into maybe a Zoom style platform and discuss the Ravens. All right. Uh, Probably try to have that near draft night or maybe uh, post draft. Don't know when that'll happen yet, but we'll make that happen for sure. So just be listening for that as well. And then last, something's gonna happen as of today. I'll be providing a way for you guys to send messages to me directly. This is for your comments and your questions. Um, so my goal is to do a segment called Questions for the GM. Um, and so you guys can send me messages directly, and we'll do a segment a couple of times a week answering those questions or addressing those comments. Okay. Now, the key to that is this. Okay. The way you guys are going to be able to send me questions is a little different because uh, it just makes it easier for me. You know, like I told you guys before, I am not a YouTuber. I don't do this full time. I don't try to do this full time. I'm a clinician uh, by trade, and so I don't have the time to be a full-time YouTuber. So when I make these videos, it's kind of in between sessions on a day that I don't have a lot of sessions on a Saturday morning when I'm off, that kind of thing. So so I try to make a lot of time for the GM for sure because I love doing this. It's a place where I find respite. And so back to the point, when you guys send in your questions or comments, uh, make a quick video and then send it to me in email. Okay, I'll post my email um in the comment section, excuse me, in the description section. And probably I may even put in a phone number so you guys could do the video and text me the video, and then I'll get it from my phone up to the place there where it needs to be so I can get it into the segment. So just know that that'll be happening. So that'll be questions for the GM. The panel's coming up, live interactions are coming up, and I got a couple of fire videos coming up at the first of the week, starting Sunday and also into Monday. I don't have anything planned further than that as far as videos, but I do got some good stuff coming for you guys. So the video today is going to be focused on 7 players who will do contracts in the 2023 off season that, and I think the better word is eligible for new contracts. But when you look at these projections, they're not mine, but when you look at these projections, I'm gonna point out a few things per the player, per the projection that kind of highlights what the NFL was seeking to suppress with how they reacted to Lamar Jackson and at the beginning uh, in pursuit of a Deshaun Watson type deal. These projections make it super clear what they were trying to do. Um, because if we can just, um, measure market value, then they certainly have um, all of the metric tools to establish market value for players and positions. And so I think it's super interesting what these projections can tell us. So let me get my screen shared for you guys and we'll get this thing going. So first up is going to be Andrew Thomas, who is an offensive tackle for the New York Giants. Okay. And when you look at his projected contract, the projection is that Andrew Thomas should be receiving or could be receiving a 4-year deal worth $112 million with $80 million fully guaranteed. Now, these are projections, of course, but you got to always remember that a projection, is somebody smart who watches the league more intensely than we do, uh, having a system that they can put these players and statistics in to generate these metrics. And so when you look at that amount, a 4-year deal worth 112 million, that comes out to roughly 25-ish million, $27 million per year. This is for offensive tackle, right? Now, look at how that would have exploded from the last big deal, right? Now we know Larry Tunsil just got a new deal, which made him the highest paid left tackle in the league. And if we take a look at, like, let's say a Ronnie Stanley who got his deal back in 2020, Ronnie Stanley's deal was for 5 years. And I think it was 98 million, which put him around 18, 19 million per year. This this deal, hold on, let me do the math real quick and we'll have a real number. 4 into 11 goes 2 times 32. So that's $28 million a year, right? So look at how that value jumped 9 to $10 million from just when Ronnie Stanley, who became the highest paid left tackle in the league, at 19 million, 18, 19 million. And this is Andrew Thomas, who is not on Ronnie Stanley's level. You know, when Ronnie Stanley was healthy is what I'm referring to. And he's, you know, his value or his contract value is $10 million more than Ronnie Stanley's. See, this is what I believe the NFL understood was going to happen if they continue to let fully guaranteed deals be a realistic thing, because these market values are just exploding. So that's one. Okay, that's one. Uh, $28 million for a left tackle. Okay, let's look at the next guy. Okay, we all know who Nick Bosa is, edge rusher for the San Francisco 49ers. And let's look at his projected contract. When you look at Nick Bosa, his contract is for 5 years, $160 million with $100 million fully guaranteed. Now, I want you guys to think about this. This is not a quarterback, okay? This is not, um, you know, uh, a top 10 guy as far as quarterbacks. This is a defensive end. His projected contract is for $160 million whole dollars and $100 million fully guaranteed. Now we understand this is a projection, but remember they got to put these numbers into a computer to generate these projections. And so that comes out to $32 million per year for an edge rusher. You see how the market would have exploded? Or you see how the market could explode? Do you think the owners would want this? Now, of course, these deals aren't done. There hasn't been a big deal done really in this offseason other than for the free agents. These guys are already on teams, and these are extensions for the most part. Okay. But this is a contract that would pay Nick Bosa $32 million at the edge position. Not a quarterback, just a guy who chases the quarterback. And $100 million, this is a better deal than Daniel Jones got as a starting QB. You see, this is what the NFL owners saw coming. So when the biggest free agent, and think about this, Lamar Jackson was the biggest free agent um, in basically in NFL history. There's not a former MVP who's been on the market like this trying to get his first deal. But they had to do this to Lamar Jackson. They had to suppress his market. They had to basically go 32 deep and get an agreement that, hey, we cannot let a contract that looks anything close to Deshaun Watson happen. Why? Because this would be the result. A $32 million defensive edge, a $28 million offensive tackle. I mean, think about that. And this is a number that's projected for 2023 because these guys will be free agents next year or next season, excuse me. So imagine what it's going to be For guys who get drafted this year, imagine what their numbers will be in 4 years when it's time, well, excuse me, 3 years when it's time for them to get paid. The NFL is not going to let that happen. See, because if we can suppress Lamar Jackson's number, who is an MVP, who is a starting quarterback, who is a franchise guy, then we can make that market come down for all these other guys. Let me give you, and let me point to something. Orlando Brown, who is a Super Bowl champion, who is on his third team, he was the best left tackle on the market, right? He only got 4 years and 64 million. He's just as good as Andrew Thomas. So how would he settle in for 4 years and 64? But there's a projection for Andrew Thomas at 4 years and 112. That's almost double Orlando Brown's contract. Do you think the NFL's going for that? No, they have to make an example. See, what I'm trying to point you guys to is not conspiracy, but logic. Okay, let's keep rolling. This is two. Well, we know this name in Ravens Nation, Patrick Queen. We know that he just completed his third year, which was his best year. And I heard somebody say that Patrick Queen didn't make Roquan, Roquan made Patrick Queen. Well, that's a false narrative because Patrick Queen has been coming along, consistently building every year. Patrick Queen was already playing good ball before Roquan Smith got there. Um, and then he just got better as he had a better running mate. And that's true in the business. When the talent around you is better, you play better. That's just the truth. But nevertheless, so Patrick Queen, look at his projection. 5 years, $100 million. Let me make sure because this picture is over it. Yeah, it is. 5 years, $100 million with $50 million guaranteed. Right? And this word is total guaranteed. The other contracts say fully guaranteed. There is a difference. But that makes Patrick Queen a $20 million a year linebacker. Well, hold it. Hold it. How is Patrick Queen a $100 million guy and Roquan Smith is a $100 million guy? Isn't Roquan Smith supposed to be better than Patrick Queen? But this is Patrick Queen's number. See, that's what I'm pointing to. Roquan's deal, Roquan Smith's deal, got done in 2022. This is a this is a 2023 projection. See how the money jumped for supposedly, I use that word very strongly, supposedly a lesser player. But you see how his money matches Roquan's? Now, of course, this is a projection, but okay, point number three. This is what the NFL is trying to avoid. Now, we've seen three different positions thus far. We've seen a left tackle who has a projected contract that doubles Orlando Brown. We have Nick Bosa, who contract comes out to about 32 million, and we have Patrick Queen, whose contract is projected to match Roquan Smith. And Patrick Queen is supposed to be a lesser player. See, I don't even have to make any points. I just have to show you the numbers and explain them. All right, let's go one more. Okay, let's see. There we go. Now we know who this is. Justin Jefferson, arguably the best wide receiver in the league. Okay, he just completed his third year, so that makes him eligible for a contract extension. Let's look at his extension. 4 years, 128 million with 85 million fully guaranteed. Now, the difference between total guarantees and fully guaranteed means you don't have to work up or hit metrics to get that number. This is what you get at the time of signing guaranteed. Total guarantees typically means you have to hit some metrics or some markers to get that guaranteed money. Okay. And so, but here's what's crazy. Look at this deal. It's a 4 year extension, which they'll probably take his fifth year and throw it in there. And it'll really kind of become a 5 year deal versus him playing on that fifth year option, of course. But let's do the math on this though. 4 into 12 goes 3 times, 4 into 8 goes 2 times. Here you have another $32 million wide receiver who's projected to get this only after his third year. Now let me point to something. Tyreek Hill, AJ Brown, and also what's the other guy's name? Devontae Adams. They're making in between 25 up to $30 million a year. This comes in a little above that. Okay. But this guy is projected to make this money only after his third year, maybe fourth year, but right now, after his third year. Those guys have been in the league 7, 8 years, and now they're making that money. So you see how the market has exploded or could explode? You see, this is what the NFL is trying to avoid. This is a fourth different position where we can truly see the market has taken off, and the NFL, through the suppression of Lamar Jackson, is trying to keep this thing uh, from taking off in such a way. Okay, so we're looking at 4 years, 128 million for a wide receiver. This is better money than his quarterback makes. In fact, this is more money than Lamar Jackson makes right now on the franchise tag for a franchise quarterback, right? Let's look at one more. Okay. So now we're going to move to this may be our first quarterback. My screen's acting crazy. There we go. This is Justin Herbert, and we know he's the quarterback for the not San Diego, excuse me, the Los Angeles Chargers. Okay, let's look at his projection. Okay, his projection is 5 years, 250, with $140 million. Here we have fully guaranteed. Again, that's where you get that. You don't have to work up to that. That's automatically guaranteed. And so at signing, that's what he would be receiving for sure. He's guaranteed to get that. Okay. That puts him at $50 million a year. Okay. Again, this is a guy who's just finished his third year, getting ready to go into his fourth year. He has not had any real playoff success. He has not been able to get his team to the playoffs. He's a stud. I'm not knocking him. He can make some plays, okay? But he has not been able to get his team into the playoffs really and have a lot of success. Although he's had two good receivers, a really good running back, and an improving offensive line and an improving defense. Okay. But he's still projected to get 250 and 140 million of that guaranteed. Okay. Now, I wonder, now we understand that Lamar Jackson's contract supposedly was better than this. But Lamar Jackson 175 that we heard about was total guaranteed versus fully guaranteed. So again, that includes some metrics that you have to hit to get up to that. Now, I don't know what those metrics are. I'm not going to speculate that, but this is the first quarterback who's only played 3 years, has not done anything, who's coming in at $50 million a year. Okay. Let's look at the next one. All right. This is Jalen Hurts. I apologize for the lettering being different. I had to do this pretty fast because this is one of those labor-intensive videos. So let's look at Jalen Hurts projection. He comes in at 5 years, $260 million. Okay, with $150 million fully guaranteed. So we got fully guaranteed again. Not total guarantee, but fully guaranteed. That means he gets 150 due at the time that he signs. That don't mean he'll receive it, but just means it's guaranteed to him when he signs. This contract is very similar to the contract that Josh Allen received 2 years ago. Okay. And so here you have a guy who was picked in the second round, who has had some playoff success, and he's projected to make about $10 million more in the whole dollar amount, and also $10 million more in guaranteed money than Justin Herbert, who was taken in the same draft, but Justin Herbert was taken, I think, number 6 or 7 overall in 2020 draft, where Jalen Hurts was taken in the second round, but he's outperformed him in those same 3 years. And so he is projected to get 260 million over 5 years and 150 million fully guaranteed. And I think this is a contract that Lamar Jackson could be and should be expected to sign, um, especially after he's done it for 5 years, and Jalen Hurts has only done it for 3 years. And the interesting thing is, they're about the same age. Lamar Jackson is the same age, even though he's been 5 years in the league, and these guys have only been in the league 3 years. He's the same age as these guys, and so that's his projection. So that projection comes out to be, let's go 5 into 26, that's 5 times. So that comes out to be about $52 million per year in annual salary. So it's a little higher than Justin Herbert. And then let's look at the last contract, who is another quarterback. And we know this to be Joe Burrow, also in that 2020 draft. He's the #1 overall pick. And his projected contract is 5 years. Wow, it jumps exponentially. 5 years, $285 million with $200 million fully guaranteed. So again, you see that his guaranteed money jumps by $50 million over Jalen Hurts and $60 million over Justin Herbert, although they came out in the same draft and have the same amount of time in the league. And Jalen Hurts has done the exact same things as as Joe Burrow, which is make it to a Super Bowl in his first 3 years. And so when we look at Joe Burrow's contract, his contract maps out to be 5 into 28. That's five, these 35, $57 million a year. So he would certainly become the highest paid quarterback per annual salary. And then he would also have the most guaranteed money, certainly in NFL history, which is a fully guaranteed. So when you think about it, see, when you and Joe Burrow seems to be the gold standard right now in the NFL as a young talent at the quarterback position. It seems to be like Joe Burrow, uh, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert seems to be the top three as far as young quarterbacks, and then sometimes you see Lamar Jackson slotted in there with those guys. You certainly can see Jalen Hurts slotted in there with those guys. And then you're going to see Trevor Lawrence at some point slotted in there with these guys as well. And so when you think about it, this is Joe Burrow's projected contract, okay? But Trevor Lawrence is due, who is also the #1 overall pick in 2021. He'll be due a contract extension or eligible for a contract extension when the end of the 2023-2024 season comes. So if Joe Burrow is looking like this right here, then that means Trevor Lawrence, if he stays on the upward trajectory, then that means his contract will come in projection wise, probably be something like 5 years. You can edge him out a little bit, 5 years, 295, 205, 210, fully guaranteed, something like that. So now you can understand with these projections why they could not allow Lamar Jackson to get a deal like Deshaun Watson, simply because, and although he had outperformed Deshaun Watson on the field and off the field, he's been a better citizen and a better player overall than Deshaun. See, people try to make it be about skill set. Oh, Deshaun Watson is this type of quarterback, Lamar Jackson, that type of quarterback. Had nothing to do with that. When you take these projections into consideration, you now can have an understanding why Lamar Jackson could not get a 5 year, let's go 5 year 250 with 230 guaranteed to match Deshaun Watson. You see, because Joe Burrow, who is supposed to be the cream of the crop, is still out at 200 million. You see, if Lamar Jackson went 230, what is Joe Burrow going to be projected to get? 240, 250 fully guaranteed? What would, then that would take Jalen Hurts' money up to 175, 180 fully guaranteed. That would take Justin Herbert's money up to 170, 180 fully guaranteed. And then you see the rest of the market as it pertains to, let me take this down. And then you would see the rest of the market as it pertains to wide receivers, defensive ends, offensive tackles, and linebackers, you see that market is projected to explode too. So you have to create a narrative around Lamar Jackson that teams don't want him and that he's overvalued and he's this and he's that. See, that's why there had to be such a rare scenario around Lamar Jackson to keep this market down because it's going to go up, but the NFL owners uh did not want it to go up at such a fast rate. I mean, these are significant jumps from contracts that was just done last year. You understand what I'm saying? Joe Burrow would jump Aaron Rodgers' current high paid salary by $7 million a year. Just Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert is projected to be at or above a guy who spent, you know, 18, 19 years in the league. They've done 3 years in the league. You understand what I'm saying? They had to make an example because now you can say, well, I don't know if they will use this as an example, but you can say, well, Lamar Jackson is an MVP and he didn't get this money. You ain't won no MVP. You see what I'm saying? This is why it was such a rarity that a former MVP could not get a deal. Now, I'm not saying this was the plan or the mission from 2021 when they didn't do a deal the first time, or 2022 when they couldn't get a deal done last year, because I certainly think they didn't expect Deshaun Watson to get the kind of deal that he got. But they certainly would have come into this offseason knowing collectively, all 32, that we cannot let this happen. And that's certainly what you've seen. All right. So listen, that's my take, man. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit share, man. If you like this kind of content, man, and you think I ain't losing my mind with my takes, share this with a friend, man. Hit the notification bell as we can keep bringing good content to you. Listen, I'm your guy Boulanger. This is the GM, and I'm out.